Okay, my YouTube people, please don't forget to like and subscribe. It's the least you can do for all this free information. I appreciate it. So today my goal is to get this distributor with the eBeyond setup into there and time it up. I'm going to be working with the factory service manual for the knuckle, and let's see how it goes. I haven't posted a video in a bit because I've been super busy, but I'm dying to have this on the road, so I need to get back at it. And here we go. First thing I have to do is take the wiring out of the cloth sheath. The eBeyond uses 2 wires. It uses a hot and a ground, as you can see there. Now I'll take the lid off of this, pull the wire out of the distributor base, and I'm going to give everything a good clean. Now you can see I got it nice and cleaned up. There was a lot of gook underneath this mounting base. I had to get in there with a pick and really get that cleaned out. The other thing you can see is I used a flat file on this and then just filed off the high spots. When you're putting the distributor back on, don't forget your distributor gasket. Easy enough to do, and you'll have to take everything back apart once you notice that it's leaking like crazy. So just slips on just like that. This is the James gasket kit one. It's pretty nice and thick. Next thing we're going to do is go into the knucklehead service manual. So right here on page 79, it talks about the ignition, circuit breaker, and flywheel timing marks. And it kind of goes through how to set everything. But this isn't the installation. On page 81 is how to set the ignition in. And it says installing circuit breaker and timing ignition, overhead valve engine, 1946 and earlier models. So the first thing it talks about is getting on the compression stroke with the timing mark in the very front of the hole, like this picture here. And I'll show you what that looks like. So the first thing you have to do is remove the timing plug. And since I have to find top dead center, I removed both the spark plugs to make it easier to turn the motor over to get to top dead center. The nut on the primary sprocket is 1.1 inches. The motor always spins the direction of the wheels when you're going forward. So it's like this. Not sure if you can see it, but there's the line right there. So that's the timing mark. That's 35 degrees before top dead center. So at this point, I back the motor so that the piston's down further in the cylinder. Try to get it near bottom dead center. Right there's at the bottom. And now you put your thumb over top the spark plug hole and you bring the piston up. And if it blows air past your finger, then you know you're on the compression stroke. And it did not. So I'm going to come around again until it does. And I just keep my finger over the hole like that. I feel it suck my finger in. So that's the intake. And there, just blew my finger off. So that's coming up in the cylinder. And again, this is where I get a pencil or something soft in there, and I know I'm coming up. So this is on the compression stroke. And now I just bring it up until the line's in the beginning of the hole. Right there. And right there, you can see that line is just coming into the hole, so that's where they want you on the compression stroke. Now we'll go back around to the distributor. So the one thing it talks about here is if the front cylinder head is off, you can install the distributor with the points complete. Mine is obviously together, so I turn the page, and right here in the book it says if the front cylinder head is on, circuit breaker must be disassembled before it can be installed. So that's where I'm at. So it says first to make sure mark number 4 on the circuit breaker head and the hole in the circuit breaker adjusting band are lined up. So looking at the picture, I believe it's this hole in the band and this hole in the head have to be lined up. I'm going to do that now, but I'm also going to put some marks as to where it is so that I can go back to that spot when the time comes, because I think this timing was adjusted right. The way you do that is you loosen this screw for the band right here. Now you just turn the band till that lines up. And there it is, lined up. And this hole in the band right here was where my mark was. Okay, now I'm going to install it, but I believe this head has to be off in order to do that. So I'm going to drop it in. I'm not going to insert it all the way in the gear, and then I'm going to get the head on before I start trying to engage the gear. Again, even the book says don't forget your gasket. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the tape off the hole that's been on there. Now I'm going to take and drop it down in a little bit. And you can see how close that is, that you couldn't do it with any of the other parts on it once the head's already on it. So right there, it's wanting to engage, but I'm not going to let it do that. I'm just going to bring it right back up like that. I think I'm going to spin this around, try and get this notch over in this direction, because that's going to put this, actually I could see the notch probably has to come around a little bit. I'm going to put it right there. Now I have to feed the wires through the hole in the back. And then this is basically kind of going to go on like this. And you can see where they're almost in alignment now, because that notch is here and the two dots are here. They're kind of in alignment right there. I have to remove this bracket in order for this piece where the cable goes in to be able to go into it. I left all this loose just for this reason. So I'm going to kind of line the gasket up a little bit like that. Then I'm just going to take and give this a turn until I feel like it drops in. Now let's give this a little lift up, like that, and then I'll see if I can't turn it in. When I bring this back to where it wants to sit here, the notch is over here and the marks are here, so I know that's not right. So I definitely have to go back at least one full tooth. So I'm going to lift it up, and it's funny, when you lift it up, it's kind of in alignment there. So what the manual is basically saying is, it wants you to have these two dots lined up with this mark over here, and to have this in the full advance, it turns this counterclockwise. So they want the bracket to be loosely in place, push it into the full advance mode, and they should line up. And they're pretty close like this. I think if I were to move it another tooth, it puts me too far out of adjustment. I can look at that real quick and see what a tooth looks like. So I just take this bracket off. I lift the distributor out. You can see it turning as it comes out. I just gave it a tooth, and now put it back in. Now that it's back in, I'll just put the bracket on lightly like this, turn it in the advance mark, which would be here, and it's closer that way, so I am going to leave it that tooth. You put the flywheels on the compression stroke and the timing mark just coming into the hole. That's the advanced timing mark, 35 degrees before top dead center. And now these are kind of all lined up with this fully counterclockwise. And that's how you time this distributor. Now the next thing you would do is set the points, but since I don't have points and I have the eBeyond 2000, what you do with it at this point is you put this rotor on. You have to get it in the advanced position like I have it, and then this line and that mark on there should be lined up. And that kind of looks like this. So you can see at this point that's pretty far off. So that's where you take the distributor and then you turn the distributor and get that to line up. And if you look, I'm not sure if you see this or not, but I'm pretty close to my old mark and it's pretty close to being lined up. So that turns it a little too far around. I think that tooth that I think I'm going to put it back a tooth, because I think that gets this a lot closer with the eBeyond. So again, at this point, I'll just lift the distributor up like that. I'm going to bring it one tooth forward as I'm dropping it down, and then I put it down like that. Now I turn it counterclockwise again. I'm going to lightly line this up and put the screws in. Now it's lightly lined up. Now I can turn the distributor back like that. And now I'm a lot closer to being lined up with the eBeyond like that. I'm going to leave this right here and bolt it down. So when you have the timing in the advance mark, you rotate the distributor fully counterclockwise, and these two lines for the eBeyond have to line up, and they do. I'm a tooth different than what this was originally at, because if you look, the hole's right here, and that Sharpie mark I put is way over here. That's the tooth difference, but I'm going to leave it like that. It's really not the end of the world either way, but that's how I'm going to leave it. So next thing I'm going to do right now is put the two bolts in that hold the distributor down, and they just simply turn in like this. Of course, I got the gasket lined up because that's important. So that's the complete installation of the distributor and timing it with the eBeyond 2000. I appreciate you watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and look out for my next video when I install this.